Hello, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm Chris Delaney, Cobb EMC's VP of Marketing and Corporate Communications. We have an exciting webinar planned for you all today, but first, just a few housekeeping items. All of your videos and microphones are turned off by default. You'll also notice that the chat is not enabled since this is a webinar event. However, you will see a Q&A box where you can submit questions to our panelists. The panel will do their very best to answer as many questions as we can. Thank you for attending, and I'm going to welcome our first speaker, Samantha Boswell. She is the Senior Manager of Customer Care Operations at Gas South. Samantha, it's off to you.
Thanks, Chris. I'm really excited to be here today to share some energy savings tips with you all. With things already heating up this summer, there are a few things that you can do around the house to increase your energy efficiency. The first is to adjust your water heater. A lot of water heaters are set to 140 degrees by default from the factory, which is higher than necessary for most household needs. A setting of 120 degrees is still hot enough for comfortable showers and washing dishes, no matter the time of year. And for every 10 degrees of temperature reduction, you can save 3 to 5% on your water heating costs. Another option is to get a smart thermostat. Whether you want to keep cool this summer or stay warm next winter, a smart thermostat will learn your preferences and make tiny temperature adjustments all year long to keep you comfortable while cutting up to 10% off your cooling and heating bills. Blocking out the sun is another good way to reduce energy usage. Indoor temperatures can be impacted by the amount of sunlight streaming through your windows. Keeping blinds, curtains, and other window treatments closed during the hottest part of the day can help reduce this impact. You can also consider investing in reflective films to block the heat or thermal or blackout curtains for increased efficiency. A few other items you can implement around the home include cooking smart. If you cook with gas, matching the flame size to that of your pan is a great way to avoid wasting heat and energy. While it's tempting to check on food in the oven, opening the door can drop the temperature up to 50 degrees, so make sure you only open it when necessary. Again, as we mentioned on the last slide, the water heater is a huge one that makes a big difference to increase your energy efficiency. And then we also have some tips on washing and drying clothes. Using the cold water setting on your washer is just as effective for most items and saves energy by reducing the need for hot water. When possible, waiting until you have a full load of laundry to do your wash or adjusting your water level setting when you need to do a small wash will also improve the efficiency. Consider air drying your clothing by using a clothes rack or an indoor clothesline when possible. And then when you do use your dryer, make sure to clean the lint screen after every load. This not only improves the dryer efficiency, but can also help prevent fire hazards. As a Cobb EMC member, you also get exclusive savings on your natural gas through Gas South by mentioning the Cobb promo code. Members receive a 2-cent per therm discount on your rate for the lifetime of your account. There is no deposit and no connection fee. And when you enroll online, you can also receive $50 in bill credits. If you're not a customer and you want to hear more about what Gas South has to offer, you can give us a call at 855-802-2766 or check us out online at gassouth.com. If you are already a customer, we really appreciate it. But if you're not sure if you're getting these discounts, you can give us a call at the same number to confirm, or you can chat us or email us through our website. Remember, implementing even one of these tips can help reduce your energy consumption. And if you have any questions or need additional information, our agents are equipped to walk you through a variety of energy savings tips. Just give us a call. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Angie Marcus with Cobb County Water System, and I supervise our environmental programs, our school age programs, as well as family and youth programs, with a focus on conservation as well. So next slide, please. I completely understand the irony of me sitting here talking to you about water conservation as it is pouring down rain outside. So why is water conservation important in our area? Because yes, it does rain here a lot. We get on average about 50 inches of rain a year, but we do have droughts periodically. We've had two longer droughts in recent times. The first was in 2007. And the response to that drought was complete and utter panic. By the end of the drought, there were severe watering restrictions in place, no outdoor watering, indoor usage was limited. It was a panic mode. And then in 2012, we had close to the same amount of drought as we had in 2007, but it was a much more relaxed moment in drought times. There were no watering restrictions in place, and everybody was really calm about it. A lot of people didn't even realize that there was a drought going on. Next slide, please. So what was the difference in those two? So if you look at this graph, you can see the big difference was the total consumption that was being used each year. So if you look at the first one in 2005, you can see the blue line is our population here in Cobb County. Population has increased. Population continues to increase. But the 2005 2 million gallons a day that we were using versus now, even though it's about the same, but the population has grown. So per person, we're using less water every day per person in Cobb County. And that's great that when those times of drought happen, or when we have what's known as a flash drought, so a short amount of time of a drought, that we don't have to put those watering restrictions in place. And so the times that we have times like now, when we've got lots of rain and it's pouring down rain. I think last month we had 7 inches of rain, which is a huge amount of rain for right now. So when we have those times of lots of rain, even though we practice our water conservation, we get in the habit of it. So when we don't have as much rain as we're having right now, we don't use as much either. So we've got the resources and we've got the water to be able to use for the necessary things that we need to use it for. Next slide, please. So our main ways that we can conserve water are threefold. Okay, next, please, is habits, outdoor water use, and leak detection. So those are our three main ways that everyone can conserve water and save water and make sure that during those high use times, we get in the habits of having these practices and these in place to be able to not use as much water during the drought times. Next slide, please. So for habits, here are a few habits that you can practice to make sure you use less water on a daily basis. Turn the water off when it's not in use. When you're brushing your teeth and you're actually brushing your teeth, turn the water off. Don't let the faucet run. Don't turn your water on to get your shower hot and then walk away and forget about it and have it running for 10 minutes before, oh, I remember the shower, let me go back. When you're washing your hands, we all learned in COVID, sing happy birthday twice. If you've got the water running that whole entire time, you're just wasting that water. So turn the faucet off, wash your hands, turn the faucet back on. So if it's not being used, don't let it run, turn it off. Another one is routinely check your toilets for leaks. It's a really simple process. You take the lid off the tank, put a couple of drops of food coloring in the tank, wait about 10 minutes, and then check your bowl. And if the bowl has got dye in it, then that tank, then your flapper, probably the little part in your toilet that flaps up and down when you flush it, it's probably leaking. Those flappers are only designed to last 1 to 3 years. And if that flapper is leaking water, sometimes you don't hear it, sometimes you don't see it, but it will constantly be filling, and that the tank will be constantly refilling with water, and you'll be using a lot of water through those toilets. We encourage people, when you change out your smoke detector batteries, to also check your toilets for leaks. Take shorter showers. Now, I am guilty of this sometimes too. I enjoy a long, relaxing shower. I know that you can relax in there, but we encourage people to try to keep it as short as possible. We recommend about 5 minutes. Sometimes those kids, if you've got kids, they're in the shower for 30 minutes. Keeping those showers shorter. The average shower head uses about 2 to 3 gallons of water per minute. So if you've got that half hour of shower, you're using about almost 100 gallons of water every time you're using a shower, and it adds up quickly. Another one is purchase low flow appliances when possible. Things like the lower flow toilets, the 1.1 gallons per flush, 1.28 gallons per flush. If you've got a home that was built before 1993 and it still has original toilets, it could be using 3 gallons per flush or even more. Some of the toilets that were built in the 60s, they were using 5 to 8 gallons per flush. That's going to save you, if you think about every time you go to the bathroom and you flush the toilet, it's going to save you, 5 or 6 gallons every time you flush the toilet. Also with sinks, the aerator that's on the bottom of it, the little part that you can unscrew, making sure that that's cleaned and that you leave that installed. It just adds water to the water. It adds air to the water. So you use actually less water with those in place. Looking for a lower flow shower head. Shower heads have come a long way as far as the lower flows than what they used to be. So you can still find a good flow with the shower head, but still not using as much water and saving some water. Full loads, that includes dishwashers as well as clothes washers. If you're washing the dishes with only a couple of dishes in there, or you're washing your clothes washer with only a couple of things in it, and you're washing it more times and more times, you're just going to use more water to do that. And instead of, maybe only running your dishwasher every couple of days, if you've got one person in the home or only 2 people and it's not filling up every night, maybe just wait a couple of days to run it and then saves that water. Speaking of dishwashers, using a dishwasher. A lot of people still wash their dishes by hand or they don't have a dishwasher. If you have a dishwasher, your dishwasher actually uses less water than hand washing does, because you usually fill up the sink, you rinse it off, and that dishwasher typically only uses a couple of gallons of water for the entire cycle. So it's much more efficient than hand washing your dishes. So those are some habits, everyday habits that you can do to save water. The other big place that we see people not conserving water is outdoor water use. In the summertime in Cobb County, if you have an irrigation system, typically people start those up and they let those go. Right now, we've got plenty of water. So if you've got an outdoor irrigation system, you shouldn't be having to use it at all. Most established plants only need about an inch of water a week. Sometimes if it's really, really hot, then they might need a little bit more, but established plants, they only need about an inch of water a week. So one of the ways that you can make sure that you're not wasting that water outside is to create a water smart landscape. And what that is whenever you're designing your outside landscape, or you go out and you decide you want to plant some plants outside, is being smart about it and planting it instead of just putting out what might be pretty, grouping your plants based on their water needs. So in this picture, the one at the bottom left, it's got the purple plant up there. Sorry, the purple plant up there has got it's lavender plant, and it is a very drought tolerant plant. It doesn't take much water to make it thrive. Very little water, not much watering at all. The purple flower in the middle there is purple coneflower, and it takes, average amount of water. It's pretty drought tolerant. It can handle some dry seasons, not super dry though. And then the bottom, the yellow flower, is actually a marsh marigold, which requires a huge amount of water, as is its named. It likes to grow in marshy, wet areas. If you planted all 3 of these plants together, you're going to either kill the lavender plant because you're watering too much, or you're going to kill the marsh marigold because you're not watering it enough. So planting those plants in groups, that maybe this one section only needs a little bit of water, one section needs a little bit more water. Not only does that save you water and conserve some of the water that you're using, but it will also save you money, because you're not going to be wasting your money on plants dying, and it's not going to, let's be honest, landscaping can get expensive and those plants can be expensive, and we don't want to waste your money by killing them all. Most of the plants in our area die from overwatering rather than drought. And they typically, like I said, established plants, typically they'll get enough rain naturally through most of the months around here. Also using mulch. So the mulch, that picture in the bottom left has got a great example of having a good mulch laid down in a flower bed. It not only saves you time because it will help control those weeds and save you time with the weeding, but it also retains moisture. So during the summertime when it gets a little hotter, if you've got that mulch laid down, an inch or two thick, then when the water goes down into it, when you rains or when you water your plants, the water will seep down underneath that mulch, and it will actually your ground will not dry out as fast as if the sun were beating down on it and just sucking that moisture out and absorbing all the moisture. So that's a great way to pretty cheap. A lot of times if you've got a good layer of mulch down, you might even have to water a little bit less and not even have to water at all summer. Next slide, please. So also, when we're talking about soil and drying out, is knowing your soil infiltration rate. That's how fast your soil absorbs the water. A lot of times you can see in that picture, people will just water, and especially if they've got irrigation systems, or they turn on their sprinkler and then they just walk away from it, and it waters so much that the soil that they have is not able to absorb the water that they've put on it, and it just runs off. It runs off into the street. It can cause a number of problems. It can cause flooding in the streets, believe it or not. It can cause, if you've got chemicals or anything on your lawns, it can wash that off. And it can then end up in our storm drains, which go to the streams, so it can be harmful to the streams. But it also is wasting your water because you want your water to be used outside watering those plants. So knowing what kind of soil you've got and only watering for that soil. So the silty loam, if it's great soil, you might be able to water an inch per hour, and or if it's super slopey and a big hill, it's going to take less water than that. Clay, which we've got a lot of around here, clay takes even less water for it to absorb in. So that is the amount of water that will absorb into that type of soil. And I do encourage you, don't guess about what you've got. Cobb Extension Service will do soil tests for you. If you reach out to them, they will explain to you, and they've got a little a bag that you can test the soil in, and they'll tell you exactly what kind of soil you have, and then you can look up what's the infiltration rate. If you don't know, a good way too is if you've got an irrigation system, if you turn it on and wait until it's absorbed. If it takes 2 minutes and it starts to run off, then you know that's how long it takes for the water to go in, and that's how long you need to irrigate for. You can always go back and let the soil soak in, wait for a few minutes, and add some more water to it and continue your irrigation. But knowing what kind of soil you've got and making sure that water is not running off and you're not getting the water on the plants, and again, you're gonna lose those plants because they're not actually getting the water. Next slide, please. If you do have an irrigation system, typically they have some kind of controller with them. So most irrigation systems, when they're built, they just have very simple standard controllers you can go outside to a box. A lot of times they're in the garage, somewhere on the outside of the house. They've got some kind of clock-based system so you can program them, and they will say, you just have to go out and type it in between 6 a.m. and 6:15. I want zone 1 to run for those 15 minutes. Maybe they'll have a seasonal feature that you can say, okay, well, in the summertime, between this month and this month, I want it to run this time. And a lot of times, if you have that kind of controller, people will set it and forget it. And so if it's like right now, where we've got a ton of rain naturally, your irrigation system may still be going off. And you're just not paying attention to it, because a lot of times irrigation systems go off when we're not aware of them, like 6 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, and when we're not paying attention, or we're not up and we're not looking outside to see what it's doing. So one of the things that you can get is a smart controller. Those smart controllers are a wide variety of abilities and a wide variety of prices. But most of them, they have the ability to connect to your phone, and you can download an app. So you can, like right now, if it's no rain in the forecast, all right, well, it hadn't rained for a few days, and I'm going out to dinner and my irrigation system is timed to go off, and all of a sudden it starts raining, I'm not at home, I can go on the app and I can turn the irrigation system off and make sure that it's not running at that time when it's raining. You might be able to do it, turn it on remotely or change it remotely. You can also work with them about, some of them have the ability to go in and for you to tell them what plants you have, as well as what turf grass you have and what zones, what each one is, and what kind of soil you have. And it will figure out how much you need to water for that plant to be able to keep that plant alive and looking beautiful and healthy. And it will automatically do all of that. And like I said, they are a wide variety of range of prices as well as what they're able to do. You can a lot of times connect them to smart homes. So if you have like a Google's smart home or anything like that, then it will connect it to those, and you can have all of, if you've got a smart home, have everything in one place. So it's a little bit easier to do. Next slide, please. So another huge way to save water is leak detection. Inevitably, probably everyone at some point will have a leak of some kind in their home. In Cobb County right now, the only time that we come out to read your meter is we come out right before you get your bill. So you get your bill once a month. If you don't know that you have a leak, you might be in for a surprise of how much water you have used and you don't know where it's going. So there are a variety of types of leak detections, and kind of like the smart controllers for the irrigation, there are a wide variety of what they can do as well as prices. The picture under the sink, those are ones that are very cheap. They're, $10 to $25 probably, and they will set off an alarm or beep, or some of them you can able to connect to an app if that sensor gets wet. So those are great things for like under sinks and under toilets, near your hot water heaters, where things might typically leak. Another type, that's the other picture with the guy in it, is probably the most expensive. Those can run upwards of $1,000, and they will actually, you have to have a plumber come out and install them. And they will actually cut the pipe, and they will turn the water off if you want to turn the water off if you find a leak, as well as determine how much water you're using. Now, the picture in the middle that's got the wrench in it, that is called a Flume Smart Home Water System. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but that will not shut the water off, but it will tell you how much water you're using, as well as break it down into where it's going and where your appliances are using. Next slide, please. So in Cobb County, we have got two different types of meters. We've got about 197,000 meters, and that's not people, but the meters. So we've got two different kinds of meters. The one on the right that's got the digital with the black lid on it, that's our typical meter that we've got. It is one that our meter readers have to come out every single month, lift the lid, check the numbers. It gives you no information, leak technology or anything like that. It gives you no information on your usage, like month to day to day, moment to moment. The one on the left is we're budgeted to about $10,000 per year to install with those meters. And those are AMI meters. The AMI is Advanced Metering Infrastructure. That is a smart meter. So it's able to tell you where your water is going, what water you're using, and when you're using your water. So if you have a leak, it would notify you of that. But right now, we are only budgeted to replace 10,000 of those a year, and this is the first year, so we've only got maybe 1,000 of those out there right now. So keeping that in mind, knowing that you probably still have that old meter there on the left, we actually have a rebate program and some information. Next slide, please. And so that Flume device that we had, that smart home water monitor, is a device that you can self-install in about 20 minutes, no plumbers necessary. It monitors and manages your water use outdoors as well as indoors. So you can separate out irrigation system. And if you have a leak, it's going to notify you immediately. You can set up leak notifications that if you have some kind of leak, then it will send you a notification and you can go and figure out that where that leak is. Next slide, please. So it will let you know about what current water you've got running. If you've got anything water running, it will also tell you how much you've used. It will break it out by appliance because it's smart technology that knows how much a toilet uses when it flushes, and it will take your water use patterns and figure out where your water is being used. You can set monthly consumption budgets. It won't cut your water off or anything like that, but it'll let you know. And we actually, for our customers, offer a $100 rebate. If you purchase we offer a rebate on it, but we also offer a discounted purchase price. So if you purchase one through Amazon or through Flume, it's $200. Our customers, I'm sorry, $249. Our customers, we have a deal for $199, and then you get a $100 bill credit back on your water bill. Some of the other water systems, if you're not, because I know Cobb EMC is not just in Cobb County. If you're in another water system, some of those might have a rebate for one as well. You would have to check with your water provider for that. But it's a great, easy, simple way to be able to get those leak notifications and be able to find out where your water is going, and to be able to change some of those habits as well. I have one on my meter. We have cut our water usage down from about 7,000 gallons per month to about 4 or 5 per month. So we've definitely cut some down just by paying attention and catching some of those leaks quicker. So like I said, learning these things and getting these habits in place now while we have lots of water, that's what's important to get us through those times that inevitably we're going to have droughts, that even if it's a short-term flash drought, it's going to happen. And to avoid those water restrictions during those times, we try to get these water conservation habits in place. But thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. It looks like our next speaker, Jeff Mason, may have dropped off. Hopefully he will join back in just a few moments here. But in the meantime, I'll start covering some of his slides and share as much info as I can regarding energy efficiency. We're actually starting off with some Cobb EMC resources and tips. The first thing that we have on the screen here on the left-hand side is our rate selection tool. So one thing that you may not know about Cobb EMC is we actually have 5 residential rate options for our members. So based on how you and your family use and consume energy in the household, there's a rate option that will work well for you. So if you go to our website, the URL is on the screen, and we'll also send this out after the webinar as well. It's cobbemc.com/rates. And on that page, you can go and find out some more information, compare rates, and see which one might be the best one for you and your family. We also have another great resource on our website, which is our Energy Saving Center, and that can be found at cobbemc.com/save. And on that page, we have a roundup of several different pages on our website where you can go and learn more about ways to save energy. We also have an Amazon shop, which is a place where we've put together several different products for different areas of the home that can help you save energy. We also have things on there like an emergency preparedness kit list, so you can have some ideas of what you may need to have in your kit to stay prepared, and other items like this. It's fulfilled by Amazon, so you can just go through our link and see what products we have out there available. The last thing on that screenshot that I'll mention is our Energy Network program, which I think we have a little more info on. But this is really our energy efficiency incentive program. It's a way that you can make some improvements in your home and save some money in the process. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. So here we are with the Energy Network. There are 3 incentives that are available. So again, you can get the link to this from our main Energy Saving Center, or you can go to the Energy Network page directly at cobbemc.com/energy network. And on that page, you can find our EV charger incentive, which gets you $250 off the cost of a level 2 EV charger. And that's off of the installation or the purchase of the device itself. We also have an energy efficiency incentive, which I think is most relevant with the topic of today's webinar. And you can receive up to $500 when you do one of our covered improvements, which you see listed there. We've got the HVAC replacement, so that will really come in handy. Hopefully not, but if unfortunately your HVAC goes out, or if you have a neighbor that happens, keep this program in mind. It also covers water heater replacement, attic insulation, duct sealing, weather stripping, and caulking. So those are all things that are qualified under that incentive program. And we also, the last one is the smart thermostat. So similar to what Angie was discussing with a smart water device, for your watering of your lawn, the smart thermostat is a great one to go ahead and install. It learns the energy consumption behaviors and patterns of your family. And can really help save some money on your bill. So not only do you get the incentive up front, but you also will see some long-term savings from that as well. So when you join our energy network, you do the installation. We ask you to submit some photos and receipts, just verifying that you did have the installation complete. And then you'll receive this incentive as a credit on your bill. We call it the Energy Network because when you sign up and receive this incentive, we may ask you to network with us, so to speak. We may send out surveys or time to time do focus groups and ask for your feedback on how you've seen the benefit of installing or having these improvements done, and seeing how we can continue to improve as well. The next thing that I'll mention is our energy audit program. So this is a great free service that's available to you as a Cobb EMC member. The web URL for this one is cobbemc.com/audit. And you can get a preview of what an energy audit would look like. There's a video linked on the page that you'll see there. But you can basically have one of our energy experts come out to your home or business, and they'll walk through and check the efficiency of your home, and they'll leave you with some actionable improvements. This isn't just a generic list of tips. There's a checklist that they look for, but what you'll get is a personalized report on your home. And they're really honest. They'll say, if this was my house, the first thing I would do is X, Y, and Z. So Jeff, who was actually our speaker, we heard he had lost internet, I think, with the storm. But he's actually one of our energy auditors. So he could be possibly the person that would come out and take a look at your home. But again, there is a place on our site where you can request an energy audit. We also have an online energy audit and a DIY checklist if you wanted to do something similar yourself. And this is an example of what that DIY audit looks like. It takes you kind of room by room in the house and the things that you need to look for. And again, this is a similar checkup to what will actually happen when they come out to your home. And then also is the video. It's linked on that webpage and on our YouTube channel as well. And actually, this is perfect timing because I see Jeff has joined back in right in time to go through the tips.
Storm rolled over, but I'm back. But thank you, Krista.
Awesome. I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you so much. Hey, everybody. Yeah, my name's Jeff Mason. Sorry about the delay there. I'm an energy advisor with Cobb EMC, and I've been here for a little over 20 years, and I do residential and commercial energy audits for Cobb. See, Chris already got us kicked off, and we're on the current slide of windows and doors. So I'll just jump right into that. So obviously, double pane or storm windows are good to have on a home. You're trying to insulate the house the best you can, and double pane windows do a much better job than older single pane windows. Replace old or cracked caulk. Especially if you've got a side of your home that catches a lot of sun, it means it's catching a lot of ultraviolet light too. And that UV light will break down caulk over time. It'll start falling out and cracking. If that's the case, and if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you can go to one of the big box stores, get some caulk, and it's not a difficult thing to do. But again, you're trying to keep around the doors and windows sealed as best as possible. Metal weather stripping around doors. Now, on older homes, they had a metal weather strip. You'll see on newer homes, it's more of a vinyl foam type of weather strip. But especially when we're talking weather stripping on doors, the rubber weather strip across the bottom of the door, those take a lot of abuse and they break down and crack and come apart. So if you haven't checked that in a while, you can kind of feel under the door. Some of them are underneath the door itself, and you can tell if it's broken apart. But again, you're trying to create a good seal for the home. Solid wood or insulated doors, most all homes have those now. If some situation happened, maybe and somebody put a hollow core door on your house at some point for some kind of repair for an exterior door, you don't want that. You want to make sure you get a good solid wood or an insulated door. Next slide, please. Thank you. Talk a little bit about home cooling. Heavily insulated shades and drapes, it was mentioned earlier. That's a good idea. And if you've got that on the side of the house, it's catching a lot of sun and you've got a lot of window area there. That's called solar heat gain, when the sun shining through the windows. So if you've got some heavy drapes, it'll definitely help to keep from heating up the inside of the home. Window tinting is a good thing as well. I've been in some homes where they have just a lot of glass. It's aesthetically, it's beautiful from an energy efficiency standpoint. It's not the best thing. So there's some good window tints out there now. They reflect a lot of that solar heat gain, but they'll let some natural light in. So that's a good way to address that. To clean or replace the HVAC filters on a regular basis. And to expand on that a little bit as well, just the HVAC system in general on your average home, that's the largest consumer of power in your home. So you want to keep that in good shape, have it maintained and serviced. I know you probably take your car in for regular service, so you want to do the same thing with your home air conditioning system. Um, when you have it serviced, you want to make sure they're checking the Freon charge. The Freon is the gas in the system that makes it cool. So it's possible for any system over time to leak that charge and get low. So if that occurs, the system is not going to cool properly. It's not going to satisfy the thermostat in the home, and it's going to use a lot more power. So again, it's a good idea to have that system serviced at least once a year and make sure they're checking the Freon charge. Those filters as well, change those on a regular basis. DOE, Department of Energy, recommends about every 30 days, but every home is different. You might be able to go 30, 60, or 90 days between filter changes. But the point is just establish your pattern and then stick with it on the filter changes. Don't turn the thermostat just off. I know some folks say, well, I'm going on vacation, I'm going to just turn my system completely off. Just not the best idea. When you come back and turn it on, it's going to take hours and hours of that system running like a freight train to try and cool everything back down again, because everything in the home heats up. So just put it on 78 degrees. I mentioned in the next sentence there. And again, 78, that's a Department of Energy recommendation. We go by those as well for the summertime. Keep your garage doors closed. It sounds like common sense, but I go by a lot of homes and the garage doors are open. I know they may have pets or something of that nature, but if you can, keep them closed. And you're trying to what you're paying to heat and cool, you're wanting that to stay in the house, and keeping that garage closed and not let it heat up so much helps out. Ensure all seals in your home are intact and secure. And again, that goes back to weather stripping. Make sure the ductwork is sealed well. Ductwork is the ductwork that carries your heated and cooled air throughout your house on the HVAC system. I've been in some homes where that ductwork is in poor shape or maybe has big holes in it. So you want to make sure that that's sealed properly. And keep air vents open and clear. That would be your supply vents or your return vents. You don't want to put a couch over a supply vent or something like that. Keep all that clear. Next slide, please. Thank you. Home heating. Again, outside, you want to make sure that the caulking and everything is in good shape. Keep, again, the garage doors down. Now, in a winter time, again, it's a DOE recommendation, and we use those same recommendations. They say 68 degrees in the winter. If you're using a fireplace, turn your heat down while you're using that fireplace. And when the fireplace isn't in use, make sure the damper is closed, because that's a huge air leak right there. I'll go in some homes and people say, well, in our room here where we've got the fireplace in the wintertime, I just feel these huge drafts. Well, 99% of the time it's the fireplace, because the dampers don't seal well. There is something called a fireplace chimney seal. You can find them online. The ones that I like, it looks like a big mylar balloon, and it has a long straw on it. And the idea is, well, I guess you heard that, lightning. Big thunder here. But you put it up into the chimney opening there, and you inflate it, and it actually air seals the chimney. So that's a good device. And what's nice about it too, it's not permanent. You can take it out if you wanted to use the fireplace. So next slide, please. And insulation. Okay, insulation is a big deal. I go in a lot of homes, and this is by far the number one thing that I see lack of is attic insulation. So you want to make sure that's up to code. Currently, our code where we live is R38, and R38 is roughly 17 to 18 inches thick. So just think about that. That's a lot of insulation. Um, again, I would say like if you're a do-it-yourselfer, and you go and just have a peek in your attic, you can look, see if your ceiling joists, like are they 2x4s or are they 2x6s, and say it's a 2x6. A 2x6 would be 6 inches thick. And if you can see the tops of those rafters right there, the insulation right there on the top, it's not enough insulation. Again, it's R38. It's got to be 17 to 18 inches thick. So your water heater, you can install a water heater blanket on an electric heater. Now, that used to be a big thing. I would say not so much anymore. All of the newer heaters, they're insulated very, very well. So that's one of those things I think is kind of on its way out, but you could certainly do that if you wanted to. Now, the hot water pipes, at the hot water heater, the pipes coming out of the hot water heater that are carrying the hot water, you want to insulate those. Again, you can go to one of the big box hardware stores, and you can find these molded foam insulators. You can see in the photo right there on the right. That's got a picture of one around the pipe. Again, that's not properly done. I was in this house, and that came right out of the tank, and they forgot to do that first foot. But the point is, anywhere there is a hot water line running, you want to have that foam insulation on there because you're insulating that water as it comes out of the tank. Makes it more efficient. And then gaskets behind switch plates. So you can purchase those as well. There are pre-cut gaskets like behind your switch plates on exterior walls. Also on your plugs on the exterior walls. Those can be big points of leakage in a home, and you can feel air. On a windy day, on a cold windy day, just go by them, and you might feel some cold air. But purchasing those gaskets that go right behind the switch plate, that's a good way to insulate that area. Next slide. Just some additional tips, obviously turn off unnecessary lighting. Dust the refrigerator coils. Again, this kind of falls under that do-it-yourselfer thing, but if you've never looked, you pull the refrigerator out, the coil back there when they're running, it just gets incredibly dirty, and that makes the refrigerator very inefficient. You can just take a vacuum cleaner with a brush attachment and just lightly clean that off, and it'll help the longevity of the refrigerator as well. If you have a pool and you don't have a timer, please get one. You don't want a pool pump running 24/7, 365, or well, for the summertime anyway. That's to use a lot of power, so you really need to have a timer on there. If you do have a hot tub, make sure you're using the cover on that to keep it insulated. Obviously, it'll stay hotter longer, and it won't have to work as hard to keep the water hot. And replace light bulbs with LEDs inside and out. The LED technology has come a long way. When they first came out, I know they were pretty harsh, but there's a lot of different colors. And when I say colors, they're light intensities now. So they've gotten a lot better. It's Q&A time. But yeah, thank y'all so much for joining us for our webinar today. Sorry about the little storm interference, but we made it back. Hey, Lauren.
Jeff, yeah, I'm glad you made it back. But like Jeff said, I want to thank all of our speakers today and also all of our members who signed on. As he mentioned, we are going to start our Q&A. So we do have a few questions already, but if you think of any, please go ahead and send them in. We'll answer them as long as we can, right up until 7, because we, of course, want to stick to our time. But it looks like all my speakers are back on camera. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a few that we got. It looks like the first one I am going to open up to all of you. So if you do have an answer for it, just go ahead and speak up. But we had one member who asked, what is our best tip for seniors to be efficient within their home?
Yeah, I mean, I can answer or try to answer that one. So yeah, no, I would say what I alluded to earlier is like your HVAC system. If you could have that serviced, again, just something if you have a heating and air person that you use and you trust, have them come out and just do that service on it. Because again, that's the largest user of energy in any home. So you want to keep that thing running well.
I'll go for water. It's catching those leaks, checking your toilets, the leak detectors that you can place under your toilets at your hot water heater, especially if you live in an apartment, things like that that will catch those leaks quickly. Some of those habits that you have, turning the water off, just simple everyday habits are probably a really good way to do it. If you live in a home that's got an irrigation system, but most 55 and older communities, they've got irrigation systems in them. If it's connected to your water line, is paying attention to those, have somebody come out and check it over, make sure that you're not watering the sidewalk and missing your plants. So those are probably the biggest ones for seniors with water.
Okay, this one's less about efficiency, but making sure that you're taking advantage of any discounts. So if you're a natural gas user, Atlanta Gas Light offers a discount for qualifying seniors. It's based on age and household income, but it's a discount off of your Atlanta Gas Light base fee. And so that equates out to some savings every month if you can get that added to your account.
Thank you. And we got a few different ones. I think, Angie, this one's going to be for you. We had a person who asked where they could locate their main water shutoff in their home versus in their yard.
Right, absolutely. And I wish that there was a one simple, straightforward answer to that, but there's not. So a lot of times they are, if you have a crawl space or a basement, it's where the water line comes into your home. Sometimes it's near the hot water heater. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're located in really strange places, like in closets a lot. Some homes don't even have, my home, we don't have one. So we could never find it. So we have to use the one at the meter in the yard. But we do if you go on YouTube on Cobb County Water System, we've got a YouTube channel, and we actually have a video in there about how to locate your water shutoff, your master shutoff. Sometimes you've got multiple, so you might have one that shuts off the water to the outside spigots. You might have one that shuts it off to the second floor. You might have one that shuts it off to the first floor. So it just kind of depends. Like I said, I hate to say that there's no very simple, quick forward answer to that, but the video will give you some ideas about where it might be located as well as what it looks like. Because sometimes you might see it, but not know that that's what it is. So I encourage you to check that video out and see if that can help you out to locate it.
Thank you. Another one we got was this one would be for Samantha. We had someone ask that their gas bill has gone higher during the wintertime because of running the heat all the time, and how could they go about reducing that?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially this last winter with how cold it was. A lot of the tips that we all provided today would be extremely helpful in the winter. So adjusting your thermostat, considering investing in a smart thermostat, and then making sure that you are taking advantage of some of the savings with reducing how often you are, opening your oven, using the right size load for your washer. So depending on, and it really, some of it's going to depend on what you use your heat for. If it's just, or sorry, use your gas for, if it's just for the heat. The biggest thing, if it's just for your heating, then it really is going to be changing that thermostat. Is probably going to be the biggest impact that you can make. I would also recommend just making sure that you know what type of rate that you're on with your natural gas provider, and investigating whether there is something like a one price plan where your bill stays the same every month regardless of usage, or if there is a different type of rate that would make the most sense for you to make sure that you are able to maintain that kind of cost.
Thank you. And I saw two questions I'm going to answer really quickly myself. We had one person who asked if they could get more details on the promos that Cobb EMC does, so our Energy Network program. I will say we are going to send out a follow-up email in the next few days, and we are going to link a few different resources, one of them being the link to our Energy Network page. So that page will be what you saw in the screenshot. You'll see all three of our incentives for smart thermostat, energy efficiency, and EV, but we will send out an email so you will be able to access it through that. And then another one we got was someone asked if we had a list of providers that we recommended to use on our website for energy efficiency or tune-ups or audits. So we also do have an approved contractors list. We have a lot of different services that are listed. We have, HVAC, we have electricians, we have a handful of different services, but they are all contractors that Cobb EMC has vetted. They have applied, and we have gone through a vetting process with them. So they are all trusted services that you can go and get those energy efficiency updates done with them, but we will also include that link in the email as well. So you should have the link for that as well as Energy Network in the coming days. So this one is for Angie. We had someone who asked if pine straw would work the same as mulch to retain moisture in their yard.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be pine straw, as long as it's thick enough. I would say, 4 or 5 inches with the pine straw, a couple of inches with the mulch, just because the pine straw's got a little bit more open spaces in it. So it usually needs a little bit more depth to it, but absolutely.
Thank you. I got a lot for Angie, like back to back. I think these came in during her slides. So I had one more for her. Someone wanted to know if there was a website for the Cobb Extension Service for the soil testing.
There is, I do not know that off the top of my head, but probably
Okay.
if you searched Cobb County Extension Service, then it would be able to point you to that. It would get you to
Okay.
there.
And if we can find it, maybe we'll include that in the email as well, so they can locate it there. Let's see. Sorry, I'm reading slowly. Okay, this one is for Jeff. We had someone ask if the more expensive air filters are more efficient or if cost doesn't really matter on the efficiency of the item.
Good question. Yeah, with the air filters, just have to be a little careful with that. So when a home is built, the HVAC system is sized for the layout and the square footage of the house. So if you have maybe an older system and you put one of the newer, high filtering type filters in there, you could run into an airflow problem. So what I generally recommend is just get a middle of the road type filter. Don't get the most expensive and don't get the cheapest, but you want to get a middle of the road type filter because you're wanting to maintain that airflow throughout the house as well. So.
Makes sense. Thank you. And I have actually another one for Jeff. This is in regards to the audits. Someone was just kind of asking, what is the time frame in regards to like applying for one, hearing back, and having someone come out? What does that normally look like time wise?
In the summertime, which we're moving into at this point, it starts getting the time frame gets longer because you start getting more calls for audits and starts backing up a little bit. But generally, try to do it in 4 to 5 business days. Run into problems too. I'll call people, leave them a message, and they don't call me back for a week. So things like that can extend the time. But yeah, we try to 4 or 5 business days is what we shoot for. But when it starts getting really busy, it extends out even further than that.
Okay, and I'm just doing it back to back, Jeff. I have another one. So we did have someone, I'm going to kind of combine these. We had someone who asked if there was any rent-friendly energy efficient tips, but we also had someone who specified apartments specifically. So do you have any just good tips for anyone who's renting, whether it be a home or an apartment?
Yeah, sure. And I'll go out to apartments occasionally, but again, you're relying on their maintenance department, but you need to make sure, you need to ask them, when was my HVAC serviced last? They need to stay on top of that service. I'm sure most all of them probably change the filters as well. Make sure they're doing that. And if it's like a total electric unit and you've got an electric water heater in there, um, just maybe if you're having any issues with it, maybe have them come out and just check that water heater out. The reason I say that, with an electric water heater, there's 2 heating elements in it. I have seen some scenarios where one of the elements they can burn out, and then you've only got one element left that's carrying the load. That'll make the water heater run much longer, and it can actually drive the bill up.
Looks like I'm going to do one last question. This one is actually going to be for Angie. I'm reading through it because it's a little bit long. I'm going to read the whole thing. So there was a device that had come out in 2024. It was called Driplet. It was supposed to let you know when your pipe drip was when freezing. Sorry, it's supposed to let you know when your pipes need to drip when freezing was coming, and you would put under your sink when the tips dropped. Do you know of any item that does that that is on the market today?
I don't. I haven't heard about that. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to
Sorry.
do a little That's okay. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research now on that. So I'm not familiar with that.
Very fair. All right. Well, maybe I'll do one more question and we'll end it on that. Let's see. All right, Jeff, I'm gonna ask you. We had someone who asked if there was a cost-friendly insulation that they could kind of keep in mind when they go about looking for new insulation for their home.
Um, Cost friendly. Get a bunch of estimates. No, no, but I'd say, yeah, go for traditional blow-in. I mean, there's fiberglass bats and there's blow-in insulation. So, and if they're done correctly, they're very good insulation. I know there's still a lot out there about spray foam, and spray foam is an excellent product, but spray foam you'll see is much more expensive than traditional insulation. So, I think just sticking with traditional blow-in installation because it's also I think a much easier installation with the blow-in. So look for that.
Well, that's fair. Well, we had a lot of really good questions, but in sake of keeping on time, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today. I want to first just thank, of course, all of our speakers for being here with us and going over all these really informative things in regards to gas, water, and electricity.